Hello, hello, hello. Okay, story time. This week I've moved away from Michael Rosen's poetry books. I think we've had 3 or 4 out of there. So this story is a chapter from a book by Roald Dahl, who I'm sure you've heard of. Of course you have. And this chapter is called The Great Mouse Plot. And I'll just read it to you. It's about a trick that Roald Dahl plays. And you can be thinking about whether you think this trick is a good idea or not. Now, when he's writing this story, Roald Dahl is a young boy, probably in year 5 or 6, or maybe even younger. And he goes to a school, and at the back of his classroom, there's a broken floorboard. And that's where this chapter begins. Okay, get yourself comfy. Get yourself comfy. Here we go. The Great Mouse Plot, it's called. My 4 friends and I had come across a loose floorboard at the back of the classroom, and when we prized it up with the blade of a pocket knife, we discovered a big hollow space underneath. This, we decided, would be our secret hiding place for sweets and other small treasures such as conkers and monkey nuts and birds' eggs. I wonder what you would put in a cubby hole like that at the back of your classroom. What would be the precious things that you would hide away? Don't know. Every afternoon, when the last lesson was over, the 5 of us would wait until the classroom had emptied. Then we would lift up the floorboard and examine our secret hoard, perhaps adding to it or taking something away. One day when we lifted it up, we found a dead mouse lying amongst our treasures. It was an exciting discovery. Thwaites took it out by its tail and waved it in front of our faces. "What shall we do with it?" he cried. "It stinks!" Someone shouted. "Throw it out the window, quick!" "Hold on a tick," I said. "Don't throw it away." Thwaites hesitated, and they all looked at me. When writing about oneself, one must strive to be truthful. Truth is more important than modesty. I must tell you, therefore, that it was I, and I alone, who got the idea for the great and daring mouse plot. We all have our moments of brilliance and glory, and this was mine. "Why don't we," I said, "slip it into one of Mrs. Pratchett's jars of sweets? Then, when she puts her dirty hand in to grab a handful of sweets, she'll grab a stinky, dead mouse instead." Mrs. Pratchett was the owner of the local sweet shop. The other four stared at me in wonder. Then, as the sheer genius of the plot began to sink in, they all started grinning. They slapped me on the back, they cheered me and danced around the classroom. "We'll do it today," they cried. "We'll do it on the way home. You had the idea," they said to me, "so you can be the one to put the mouse inside the jar." Thwaites handed me the mouse. I put it into my trouser pocket. Then the 5 of us left the school, crossed the village green and headed for the sweet shop. We were tremendously excited. We felt like a gang of desperados setting out to rob a train or blow up the sheriff's office. "Make sure you put it into a jar which is used often," somebody said. "I'm putting it in the gobstopper jar," I said. "The gobstopper jar is never behind the counter." "I've got a penny," Thwaites said, "so I'll ask for 1 sherbet sucker and then 1 bootlace. And while she turns away to get them, you slip the mouse in quickly in the gobstopper jar." Thus, everything was arranged. We were strutting a little as we entered the shop. We were the victors now, and Mrs. Pratchett was the victim. She stood behind the counter, and her small, malignant pig eyes watched us suspiciously as we came forward. "1 sherbet sucker, please," Thwaites said. to her, holding out his penny. I kept to the rear of the group, and when I saw Mrs. Pratchett turn her head away for a couple of seconds to fish a sherbet sucker out of the box, I lifted the heavy glass lid of the gobstopper jar and dropped the mouse inside it. Then I replaced the lid as silently as possible. My heart was thumping like mad and my hands had gone all sweaty. "And one bootlace, please," I heard Thwaite saying. When I turned around, I saw Mrs. Pratchett holding out a bootlace in her filthy fingers. "I don't want all of you trooping in here. If only one of you is buying, she screamed. "Now beat it! Go on, get out!" And as soon as we were outside, we broke into a run. "Did you do it?" they shouted at me. "Of course I did," I said. "Well done you," they cried. "What a super show." I felt like a hero. Well, I was a hero. It was marvellous to be so popular. I wonder if they get away with that, or whether they get found out. And I wonder whether you thought that was a good idea or not. I tell you what, next week we'll find out what happens next in the next chapter, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.